Welcome to Famous Rewind. Today we travel back to 1969 when the American West is depicted as harsh, unvarnished and filled with moral trials. True Grit is not merely a Western film, but a story of courage, vengeance and the price of justice. From John Wayne's Oscar-winning performance to Kim Darby's resolute portrayal, the film left a lasting mark. In this journey of remembrance, we look back on the lives, legacies, and human stories behind this enduring classic. Rooster Cogburn, the gruff, aging lawman with a missing eye and the rough-hewn moral code of the American West, was portrayed by John Wayne as the late career pinnacle of a Western icon. Born on May 26, 1907, in Winterset, Iowa, Wayne took on the role at the age of 61. A moment when the image of the classic hero bore the heavy marks of time yet still retained moral gravity. Cogburn moves more slowly, more bitterly, and closer to real human frailty than Wayne's earlier roles. The performance earned John Wayne the only Academy Award of his career. He passed away on June 11, 1979, at the age of 72 from stomach cancer, leaving behind a milestone that marked the closing of the classic Western era. LaBeouf, the young Texas lawman whose confidence is tempered by impatience, was portrayed by Glenn Campbell as a clear generational counterweight to John Wayne's Rooster Cogburn. Born on April 22, 1936 in Delight, Arkansas, Campbell took on the role at the age of 32, at a time when he was at the height of his musical fame and beginning his transition into film. LaBeouf embodies youth, professional pride, and an ego not yet fully tempered, creating an engaging clash with Cogburn's seasoned experience. Glenn Campbell passed away on August 8, 2017, at the age of 81, from complications of Alzheimer's disease, leaving behind the rare legacy of an artist who achieved major success in both music and cinema. Emmett Quincy, an outlaw marked by brute appearance and the blunt, everyday violence of the American West, was portrayed by Jeremy Slate as a form of violence stripped of embellishment or romanticization. Born on February 17, 1926 in Atlantic City, New Jersey, Slate took on the role at the age of 42, at a stage when his supporting actor image had become closely associated with tough, pragmatic characters. Quincy harbors no grand ambitions. He exists purely through survival instinct and direct cruelty. Jeremy Slate passed away on November 19, 2006, at the age of 80, leaving behind the imprint of a character actor known for depicting the rough edges and unvarnished violence of the classic Western. Ned Pepper, a criminal marked by a calm, cold demeanor and violence concealed behind a soft-spoken voice, was portrayed by Robert Duvall as an early antagonist of haunting intensity. Born on January 5, 1931 in San Diego, California, Duvall took on the role at the age of 38, at a point when his acting already displayed a rare sense of restraint and depth. Pepper needs no theatrics, merely standing still is enough to exert pressure, foreshadowing the inward, understated style that would later become Duvall's hallmark. Now 94 years old, Robert Duvall's formidable career is often revisited beginning with this early role, seen as the starting point for a long line of complex, grounded characters that followed. Moon, an outlaw with an unsteady gaze and unpredictable energy, was portrayed by Dennis Hopper as a fleeting streak of rebellion amid the harsh western frontier. Born on May 17, 1936 in Dodge City, Kansas, Hopper took on the role at the age of 32, precisely at the time when his fiery artistic personality and rebellious spirit were coming sharply into focus. Moon's appearance is brief, yet it reveals deep-seated instability and latent violence, distinctly different from the conventional, formulaic villain. Dennis Hopper passed away on May 29, 2010, in Venice, Los Angeles, at the age of 74, due to complications from prostate cancer, leaving behind the legacy of a rebellious talent who helped shape the spirit of American cinema in the late 20th century. Gaudi, an aging antagonist marked by a weary appearance and the distilled essence of the classic Western, was portrayed by Alfred Rider with a slow, seasoned demeanor. Born on January 5, 1916, Ryder took on the role at the age of 53, at a point when his supporting actor image was firmly associated with characters who were experienced and stripped of illusion. Gaudi does not inspire fear through overt violence, but through a sense of moral depletion and the hardening brought on by years of wear. Alfred Ryder passed away on March 28, 1995, at the age of 79, leaving behind the imprint of a face emblematic of the older generation of villains in traditional westerns. Colonel G. Stonehill, a hired mastermind of manhunts with a polished exterior and a ruthless core, was portrayed by Struder Martin as a true scene-stealing supporting role. Born on March 26, 1919, in Kokomo, Indiana, Martin took on the part at the age of 50, at a stage when his face and voice had become instantly recognizable hallmarks of the Western genre. Stonehill's screen time is brief, yet he leaves a distinctly unsettling impression of cold, impersonal power and morality governed by money. Struder Martin passed away on August 1, 1980, at the age of 61, from a heart attack, leaving behind the legacy of a master character actor who could make audiences remember him even with only a few scenes. Tom Chaney, a murderer driven by simple motives, yet marked by cold and brutal actions, was portrayed by Jeff Corey as the tragic catalyst that sets the entire revenge journey in motion. Born on July 10, 1914, in Brooklyn, New York, Corey took on the role at the age of 54. A time when his features and presence had accumulated a deep sense of darkness and hardening. Chaney requires no justification or philosophy, he exists solely through raw violence and cowardly flight. Jeff Corey passed away on August 16, 2002, at the age of 88, leaving behind the mark of an outstanding character actor, skilled at turning straightforward evil into a haunting threat. Boots. Finch, a frontier captain embodying blunt authority and an uncompromising legal mindset, was portrayed by Ron Sobel as an image of order imposed through force rather than justice. Born on January 31, 1928, in Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, Sobel took on the role at the age of 41, at a stage when his face and bearing had become closely associated with hardened borderland characters. Finch's appearance is brief, yet sufficient to convey a form of cold power more inclined to oppress than to protect. Ron Sobel passed away on May 2, 2002, in Los Angeles at the age of 74, leaving behind the mark of a character actor known for depicting the law in its rawest and most unforgiving form. Daggett, a diminutive lawyer with a distinctive voice and a touch of gentle humor, was portrayed by John Fiedler as an everyday character who softens the harsh atmosphere of the western frontier. Born on February 3, 1925 in Plattsburgh, New York, Fiedler took on the role at the age of 43, at a point when his acting style was well established, marked by an ability to add color through gesture and vocal nuance alone. Daggett does not play a decisive role, but he brings a sense of familiarity and a very human note of irony. John Fiedler passed away on June 25, 2005, at the age of 80 from heart disease, leaving behind the legacy of a master character actor who enriched stories through details that might seem small at first glance. Judge Parker, a magistrate representing formal law with a cold demeanor and clear emotional distance, was portrayed by James Westerfield as a counterpoint to the harsh, lived-in justice of the western frontier. Born on October 24, 1913, in Nashville, Tennessee, Westerfield took on the role at the age of 55, at a stage when his theater and television experience had forged a convincingly rigid air of authority. Parker appears through procedure and verdicts, revealing the gap between written law and the demands of survival-based morality. James Westerfield passed away on January 21, 1971 in New York City, at the age of 57 from a heart attack, leaving behind the mark of an actor known for portraying the limits of legal power. The sheriff, a representative of local authorities shaped by the pragmatism and caution of the frontier, was portrayed by John Doucette as a realistic Western presence, unflashy yet dependable. Born on January 21, 1921, in Brockton, Massachusetts, Doucette took on the role at the age of 48, a time when his solid bearing and screen experience were clearly established. The character appears through the responsibility of maintaining order within the limits of available power, reflecting the workings of local governance caught between violence and survival. John Doucette passed away on August 16, 1994, at the age of 73, leaving behind the imprint of a character actor emblematic of the plain-spoken everyday Western. Barlow, a background character serving primarily to support the narrative flow, was portrayed by Donald Woods with the calm, proper demeanor of a familiar face from the classical era. Born on December 2, 1906 in Brandon, Manitoba, Canada, Woods took on the role at the age of 62, at a point when his career was well established through numerous similar supporting parts on screen. Barlow's appearance is brief, functioning more to advance the story than to develop a distinct personality. Donald Woods passed away on February 1, 1998, at the age of 91, leaving behind the mark of an actor known for reliably inhabiting functional roles that helped maintain narrative coherence in classic Hollywood cinema. Mrs. Floyd, a frontier woman marked by quiet kindness and an unassuming goodness, was portrayed by Edith Atwater as a humane anchor amid the violence and harshness of the American West. Born on February 2, 1892, in Chicago, Illinois, she took on the role at the age of 76, bringing with her a deeply lived-in calm and seasoned presence. Mrs. Floyd appears only briefly, yet leaves behind a rare sense of warmth within an otherwise perilous journey. Edith Atwater passed away on January 19, 1986 in Los Angeles at the age of 93, leaving the imprint of a character actress who infused everyday compassion into the otherwise austere world of the Western. Dirty Bob, a peripheral outlaw with a disheveled appearance and unpredictable recklessness, was portrayed by Carlos Rivas as a fleeting threat, sufficient to unsettle the atmosphere of the Western frontier. Born on July 10, 1926 in El Paso, Texas, Rivas took on the role at the age of 42, at a stage when he was well known for portraying greedy, marginally violent characters. Dirty Bob's screen time is brief, yet it heightens the sense of danger and lawlessness that permeates the story's world. Carlos Rivas passed away on June 16, 2003, at the age of 76, leaving behind the imprint of a character actor who consistently brought a very real sense of unease to the Western genre. Chen Li, an Asian man appearing on the margins of the harsh Western world, was portrayed by H.W. Jim as a rare image reflecting the quiet presence of Asian communities in classic westerns. Born around 1914 in Hawaii, he took on the role in his early 50s, bringing with him a calm demeanor and a familiar air of resignation often assigned to characters pushed outside the centers of power. Chen Li's appearance is very brief, yet it is enough to reveal the limits and stereotypes of the era in the way cinema viewed Asian people. H.W. Jim passed away in 1988 in Los Angeles, at approximately 74 years of age, leaving behind the quiet imprint of a supporting actor from the old Hollywood era. Frank Ross, the absent father whose loss serves as the catalyst for the entire revenge journey, was portrayed by John Pickard more as a sense of absence than as a fully present character. Born in 1923 in Texas, USA, Pickard appeared in the role at around 45 years of age, carrying the look of a quiet frontierman whose life ends abruptly. Frank Ross has little dialogue or screen time, yet his death generates the moral and emotional momentum that runs throughout the story. John Pickard passed away in 2009 at the age of 86, leaving behind the mark of a small but structurally crucial role within the tragic framework of True Grit. Mrs. Ross, a Western mother bearing quiet grief and the deep resignation of frontier life, was portrayed by Elizabeth Harauer as a subdued background presence of great stillness. She appeared in the role in middle age, bringing with her a composed demeanor and the familiar endurance of women who live in the shadow of violence. Mrs. Ross has little dialogue, yet her brief presence is enough to establish the emotional groundwork for Mattie's journey. Elizabeth Harauer passed away in 2003, leaving behind the quiet mark of a supporting actress who helped preserve a sense of familial depth within the world of the classic Western. Yarnell, a secondary antagonist marked by cold violence and an indifference that needs no verbal threats, was portrayed by Ken Renard as a quiet menace of the unforgiving Western frontier. Born on July 21, 1933 in Los Angeles, California, Renard took on the role at the age of 35, at a point when his tough demeanor and rugged features were already firmly established on screen. Yarnell's appearance is brief, yet his silence and decisive actions are enough to create lingering sense of unease. Ken Renard passed away on September 8, 2019, at the age of 86, leaving behind the mark of a character actor known for portraying raw violence with restraint and chilling composure. Mattie Ross, a tough young girl with a sharp intellect and an uncompromising will, was portrayed by Kim Darby as a female lead who broke with traditional Western conventions. Born on July 8, 1947, in Los Angeles, California, she took on the role at the age of 21, bringing to the screen the image of a young woman who drives the story through intelligence and determination rather than physical strength. Mattie moves through the violence of the Western frontier with a calm voice and an absolute faith in her own sense of justice. The performance became an inevitable point of comparison with the 2010 adaptation. Now 77 years old, Kim Darby is still remembered as the actress who defined the first and most distinctive incarnation of Mattie Ross. True Grit lives not only within old frames but also in the memories of generations of film lovers. The cast may have departed from the screen, yet their performances continue to walk across the vast Western landscape of cinematic history. When the lights fade, what remains is courage, humanity, and the imprint they left behind. Thank you for joining Famous Rewind on this journey back through time.